Welcome back to Rock Guitar Confidential with Scott and Ryan. On today's very special episode, an interview with creator of Fret 12 and music industry innovator Dan Tremonti. Next.
Hey, Dan, it's good to see you, man.
Yeah, great to meet you.
Yeah.
Good to see you. You as well. Thanks for having me.
All right, so let's dive right in and let's talk about your experience in music so far. Like, what kind of got you interested in music when you first started? What's some of your background?
Background as a kid, I was kind of a metalhead kid.
Oh, hell yeah.
Awesome.
I went through all my different journeys, but you know, I guess my uncle kind of got me into stuff earlier with not metal. You know, more like psychedelic furs, that kind of stuff, and Lou Reed and all
Punk,
that.
sort of new wave type stuff, maybe, and that kind of that one.
But when I was trying to, you know, find my way and my identity, metal kind of drew me in, and so it was like, you know, my time when I really got into music, I was really into AC/DC. I was into Maiden and Metallica. You know, right when Ultimate Sin and Master of Puppets came out,
Yes.
those sorts of things was kind of my, you know, my journey into metal. And then I rock and metal, and then I got kind of deep. You know, I started getting darker and darker, and it started turning to like Venom and
Yes.
stuff like that.
Oh, man.
Black metal kind of stuff. Yeah.
You know, we've talked often about that moment when you're a kid, when you realize at war with Satan doesn't mean you're at war against Satan. You're like at war with him. Like you're on the same team, you know? And
He's a good dude, man. He's a good dude. If you think about it,
you know, that's who you want with you in a foxhole is good old Scratch.
That's funny. That's interesting how you made that progression though, from like sort of more mainstream leading music to like Iron Maiden and then keep going there. Was it just like wanting to up the ante a little bit each time you kind of were discovering new bands? Like how did you work your way there?
I was bored, you know. I was always looking for. I was an angry kid, I guess, when I got to the darker stuff. But then I had a bunch of different phases. You know, when I was kind of in between there, you know, REM and bands like that. You know, for a period, I was like the biggest. You know, kind of Bon Scott. You know, a whole lot of Rosie. You know, was really for me like the guitar song that really got me, like interested in that stuff. But went to art school, and then I was into, you know, Ministry and Nine Inch Nails and Jane's Addiction. I remember being, you know, in my apartment in Detroit. I was going to Center for Creative Studies at the time, and I had a friend who had someone bail, and they're like, "Hey, there's this band playing at St. Andrews called Jane's Addiction. I have free tickets."
Oh, wow.
I don't know who that is.
Never heard of those guys at that point. This is like a new band to you.
Yeah, so I mean, I kind of just had a long, like, exploring journey in music, and then something kind of weird happened to me. You know, I grew up around a brother that was a guitar player, and so I was always kind of around it. And I'll take credit. "Creeping Death" was the song that got him into.
Oh, perfect! Right on.
Is it heavy music? Yeah.
And so for all of our listeners here, you know, Dan Tremonti here, his brother is Mark Tremonti, who some of you will know from bands like Creed and Alter Bridge.
Yep, great guitar player.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very influential in his generation for sure. And so that's interesting. So did you guys both play at the same time? Did you guys influence each other? Like how was that when you guys were kids?
You know, I was the one that was always doing art. You know, I was always drawing and copying the Maiden covers and things.
Oh,
like
yeah.
that. And you know, he was on the guitar 24 hours a day. And just a side note, I was just looking at the Alter Bridge schedule, and I see they have Iron Maiden shows coming up, and it's like,
So
if
cool.
you told us back then that he'd be doing those sorts of things.
Opening for Iron Maiden.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. That's
It's crazy.
Absolutely.
But I mean, I think that the journey as it relates to Fret 12 and what I started in 2008 really was, I watched this kid bail on regular guitar lesson, and I don't want to play Mary Has a Little Lamb. I want to play Metallica or whatever, and basically teach himself, you know, all growing up and through college and whatever, watching these VHS tapes, learning from people who were great players, but maybe they didn't, you know, they weren't like touring or recording musicians, or someone at the tail end of their career. And so fast forward, once he was in the industry and doing well, I was like, how come a guy like you, I saw how you did this. I assume there's a lot of people out there that have gone the same path. How come a guy like you doesn't stop at the peak of their career when it's really relevant, because you're in current studio environment, you're in the current, label dynamic. You can go down to Best buy your CD. Why don't you stop and not just teach techniques from songwriting and skills development, but also talk a little bit about your life and the business and all that. And so that started, I talked to him for a couple of years, tried to convince him to do a tutorial, because Petrucci had his thing out there, and I'm like, well, why don't you just do one that talks about
So you're talking about the Rock Discipline, John Petrucci.
rock discipline.
Like all the REH stuff.
Yeah, so I basically saw a lot of bad stuff he'd watched over the years on VHS tapes and stuff. I'm like, why don't we do like a really polished? We have access to touring stuff. You write, you're a little different because you're a songwriter and you're kind of a shredder and all these sorts of things. And so we started this series. I got some props here I'll pull out as we go.
All right.
Nice.
We started a series called The Sound and the Story. And it basically started with Mark, and we did just that. We had, like an hour-long documentary, a few-hour tutorial, all kinds of great camera angles, tablature, all that. And we tried to design, once that kind of came out, I was thinking a little more also about just his independent brand. I'm like, okay, you're in a band and some singer goes nuts or whatever, the band breaks up, and you this is what you want to do forever. Otherwise, you're going to Chili's and you're cooking at Chili's. So how do you stay a guitar player forever? And so I said, you got to look at the folks like Slash and whatever. You have to build your autonomy, build your own brand. And so Fret 12, the company really started in that idea of an artist-centric, first off, creating access for people to content. I had this vantage point that I got to see everything behind the scenes, and I was also working on the graphics for the band. So I was working on kind of all sides of the fence and a fan.
Yeah.
And so part of it was, why don't we do stuff that gives people better access? Because people only see like this much of the music business. They see you on stage, nowadays they see a lot more with social media or whatever, but they don't see that 99% of the work happens in improvised practice spaces or, performance, or one of your weirdos from the band's in front of a mirror in their room doing their thing or whatever.
Yeah.
Why don't we peel back the curtain and let people in more? And so there was that whole angle of our storytelling approach, but then also the building out of the independent brand. And so basically we started looking at, if we're the hub of helping you do that, what are all the spokes you want to activate? Okay, you want to do a tutorial? Do you want endorsement deals? Do you have gear deals? Do we want to sell gear? Do you want to do merchandise, clothing? Do you make a hot sauce? Do we sell your hot sauce? What is it?
That's become
So
a thing.
it really, it started really artist-centric, and we would do stuff like, Artist Connect, where we would let people ask questions like, hey, so-and-so's coming to town, we're going to interview them, what do you want to know? And we would ask those questions, fan so-and-so wants to know how you do this. And so we did that. We did about 12 releases, and it was pretty strategic. It was like Troy Stetna, so, sold 1 million units with Hal Leonard of just true teacher.
Yeah.
Most artists, when you approach them like, hey man, I'm not a teacher, you start talking about tutorial and they run the other way. But, we did the Mastodon guys.
Oh, nice.
Slipknot. We did Leslie West,
Oh, wow.
That must have been amazing having Leslie West. I mean,
milking 1 million notes out of one thing.
what a legend! Oh my God!
Yeah,
it's
totally.
really cool to have been. They'll pick
That
his brain.
was a fun story because he
yeah.
had guests. He had Zach Wilde as a guest and some other folks.
That's so funny.
So cool. Well, I mean, what a great time capsule too. I mean, some of these artists aren't with us anymore. That includes Brent Hines from Mastodon. So it's great you were able to document, those guys for future generations.
Totally. And as you know, I mean, there's no shelf life to story or even a lot of these techniques. So it started very artist-centric, what we were doing, but then it was interesting because a lot of the folks that were fans of these artists and what we were doing, because we would do a lot of things for them, like hold underground sessions and clinics and stuff like that, where it wasn't like a business model really, and we were like burning money doing it. We were just doing fun stuff that we wanted to do, hosting things before shows.
Was it like a speakeasy kind of model where you just kind of show up and it's like a pop-up sort of thing? Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, and some people have described like someone was telling me that their cleaning person was in the house and saw Fret 12 shirt or something on their bed and was like, "What's fret 12?" And they're like, "I don't know how to explain this." Like, the way I explain it, it's like you're passing by a dark alley and you see a light coming out of a door, and you're curious and you probably shouldn't go in there, but you go in, and all of a sudden you discover a bunch of people that are into the same thing you're in. So it's kind of a back door. We call it like a back alley into music.
So at that time, were you guys just a media company, or did you have a physical footprint like you do now, or how did that evolve?
No, just all online, media, and we would do stuff, events, and we would do stuff around shows and things like that. But so people started connecting. Yeah, people got married and stuff. Like they started.
Yeah.
We called it the Army of 12. They started forming like this kind of tribe of people, and so it started shifting to be less about just the artists and more just about connecting through music. And I think that naturally what was built into Fret 12 is a musician gets what it is, and that it sits at the center of the scale length, and obviously the two dots. There's just a lot of symbolism that kind of worked out to really kind of bridging a community around music. And
Nice.
And, not exclusionary for people who weren't guitar players or things like that, but just really more people with a shared passion for live music and performance and just real craftsmanship on display, and and guitar playing. And so basically with that, we kind of have evolved over the years to where, hey, do we want to sell gear? We start selling guitars. I don't think we want to have $1 million of guitars sitting in a warehouse.
Yeah.
Really what our strength is, I'd always through the years been doing the album covers, the merchandise, the ad mats for tours and all that promotional stuff, and was really in like the expression side of things. Mm-hmm. And so we spun things up and down over the years, and basically where we've come out in the last few years is we basically have kind of three things that we do. Just as a whole, Fret 12 is really a music culture brand. There's a lot of like music lifestyle brands.
Sure.
And I think that those more, the nuance, I think they attach themselves more to something to make them cool by affiliation.
Sure.
Whereas we truly emerged out of the culture of music, and we maintain, our footprint in, we film bands, we promote bands, we do the tutorials, we do all those sorts of things. So really, we still strive to peel back that curtain, give people access, whether it's through experiences or content, and help the artist, promoting the artist, investing in real quality sound, underground performances, those sorts of things. So creating that access and content. And then a big part of our evolution has been expression. And so, if you love music and the band didn't make it, you ended up a lawyer or whatever, but you wish you were here every day.
That's never happened as far as I'm concerned. Everyone, no.
What's that piece of art behind your desk that another musician gets?
Yeah.
It's lost on it. Just looks like an industrial thing. So we produce art, we produce clothing, candles, all kinds of things that are tied to music, but in a real way, like candles, for instance, one's green room. And so a lot of people might do something like that because let's sell what's cool about music. And it's like, well, we sell it because have you ever been in a green room or a stinky tour bus with people?
Yeah.
So literally green room scented candle.
Well, no, it's not
green room. It combats green room scents.
Okay, I was going to say.
Right.
I don't know if I want to bring that home. You know what I mean? It's
that would be
scent canceling
Wacky
candle.
Packs. Like, do you remember Wacky Packs when they had the spoof stinky?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm still thinking like Jelly Bellies, like they have like the the vomits kind of. It's like no, we don't need that. We're trying to.
We made this for the artists because they want a sense of home when they're traveling.
Sure. Yeah.
Love it.
Like, they want to cover up the dank beer smell and the socks and all that junk and stuff.
Yeah.
Somehow that's been imported to every club in the entire country.
That would also be good for a host of rehearsal rooms.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And recording studios too, I think.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Might need to get one for up here,
Yeah.
Well, one of those, we're going to send you some candles.
Hey, thank
So
you.
cool.
But it's just an example of how it's something born from the business, and I think a lot of what we do and a lot of our vibe is very like worn in and used because the patina of a road case that's been around the world 1,000 times and is beat up and all that kind of stuff, while it might be an old dog and get retired from a band, you imagine the journey that it's taken.
With that being a scene, I mean.
Yeah, the guitar, yep.
I've never seen pictures of the old Van Halen road cases and the Eddies. I'm like, man, what has that thing been through? Like, did the Diver Down tour and stuff? I couldn't even imagine. Like, if that thing could speak, what kind of things it could say? It's amazing. Yeah. So, yeah, you're right. The Beatle ones are cooler, for sure.
That's the one bucket. The second bucket is kind of expression products, and then the final is actually making music and selling a curated selection. So while we don't have, we're not trying to be, the Chicago Music Exchange of Chicago. We're more, we have a curated selection, and part of what we're doing is bringing in some local, real high quality makers. Especially if we open up shops, and I'll get to the shop in a sec. If we open up shops, we'll want to tap into supporting the local music scene there, the local maker scene there.
That's so cool.
Cool that we have some of that stuff going on. So we have, pedals, accessories, we're more like, we want everyone to come here, buy your guitars and amps somewhere else, I guess, but if you want to come here and hang out around music, talk music, meet other music people, get your accessories, expression stuff, we're more kind of like the kind of gathering place we're trying to build. And so
that's very old school, Dan. That's actually what music stores used to be like. Right. Come in and hang out, and it was like a community, and it became, now it's more get in, get out. It's almost like churning and burning if you go to a place that's like a national music store. So that's cool. That's bringing back something that used to be the case all over the place back.
Yeah, I mean, only an independent can really do that, right? That's not going to happen at any of the national, chains.
No, and that's a big part of the story is, when I was a kid, I would hang out at, the record stores to get a beat. Well, because it's the only place you could hang out to get the records, unless you did mail order, like a Harmony House or whatever.
Right. You get 100 CDs for 1 penny.
10 for 10 cents or whatever. And
a whole generation's credit rating was wrecked. 1 penny at a time.
Yeah, and you couldn't get out of your subscription as easy back then.
No.
It's like a timeshare.
You had to hire a lawyer.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So, but Mom, it's only 10 cents. I get 10 CDs for 10 cents. It's the best deal ever. You know what I mean?
But to your point about all that, I mean, that whole experience, even if you didn't have a dime in your pocket, whether it was you're a skateboard kid going to a skateboard shop, or you're going to the gear store, or you're going to the record store, you would go there all the time just because that's the world you wanted to hang out in, and you wanted to listen to other people and pick up on stuff and discover things. And I think that it suits us. It's always been kind of part of our DNA, was that just experiential things and that connection. And now just, I've been waiting for this moment forever with all the bullshit with technology and all the AI stuff. And
oh my God.
The biggest selling thing we've ever sold is I did an old handwritten, just simply the word analog. And it's just because that's kind of our mode of operation. And, we're betting 100% on that fork in the road. Well, obviously technology has its place. Everyone's all in, investing, doing all these sorts of things. But I have so much confidence that this is going to turn back on so many human things. It already is,
Absolutely.
That's actually,
well, I was just going to say that's a lot of what. So here in Sacramento, I teach at a place called Skips Music, which we're an independent retailer. We focus on performance programs. We have a really strong educational department, and it's all about building those relationships, right? And that's become more and more important as technology is advanced in all sorts of arenas, right? Yeah. People need real human connection more than ever, and that need's only going to increase. So.
I was thinking too, like you've really been you started Fret 12 in 2008, you've been on the ground floor for a lot of change. I mean, not only from having the media side of that change with the rise of YouTube and short form content like TikTok and Instagram, but running the music store as well. You've seen what's happened to a lot of the music stores nationwide, the last 5-10 years. They're just, it's becoming a struggle for anybody with a brick and mortar business to stay in business. I'm kind of curious about what your perspective is, having seen those changes both in the media side and on the physical location side. What's your perspective on how that change has happened?
Well, to start, I've got a mountain of these sitting down in the basement in store.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah, right.
Those are coming back, right? Those are coming back. Trust me. Like pretty soon, kids are gonna be like all about the DVD player.
Well, have some autograph. Have Jim Root sign all of them, and then
Yeah, it's so things have obviously changed from a media standpoint, and it is cool seeing them cycle back, even seeing like VHS video stores come back and that kind of stuff. But I think that part of what we're doing, and again, I'm going to preface all this with, we don't have some like big evil plan, like some big business plan of how we've done all this.
Your world domination is something you're not leading with world domination, is what you're saying.
Yeah, this has been a very organic path, of doing things that don't make it's basically been kind of staying in business while we're doing all the fun things that we want to do for fans and for people. But basically coming into, so in 2022, I guess 2022, we opened up in a salt shed. So a concert venue here in Chicago is an old industrial warehouse. It was a salt factory where basically barges would come in off the river, pump the salt into these big warehouses, and then it would go into the packaging building to be packaged up.
Yeah.
And so some friends of ours were always curious about the property. Like, that place looks pretty cool and industrial. It's just sitting there. What's it all about? They came up with this idea, and they turned it into probably one of the coolest venues in the country or the world, where, one of the sheds had to come down because it was just had to come down. So it's an outdoor along the river, 5,500 seat outdoor venue.
That's sweet. Yeah.
Wow.
And we saw some photographs of it too, and that's pretty amazing.
Absolutely, man. It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. But so then the indoor one, 3,300 seater, great, built by musicians, for musicians, is pretty much what everyone says when they come there. Amazing green rooms, all these sorts of things.
Nice.
But this packaging building is all, was earmarked for retail. And so before the stuff even existed, we got in there in kind of pop-up mode during the outdoor shows. And, with kind of a slow expansion idea, but it was pretty cool after all these years being online and having all these things we've created to basically step into your head in a space and see it all.
Yeah. Basically, here it is, guys. This is the thing. Yeah.
And
so you're doing like merch and retail, or were you doing, what was the vision initially? Were you thinking retail?
At first, it was just, we were doing all the festivals and we were doing pop-ups, and it's like, okay, can we do a pop-up here in this fixed location? And then, eventually grow into a retail store. And so we took, it wasn't lost on us the idea that if you're just destination retail, it could be hard. You either totally hit or you don't. We came into a mindset of a very experiential approach. And an approach that this can't just be about a store because, look, it's in a venue. So we do well during shows, but who knows outside of shows. We knew there was a plan for the place eventually to be a destination. And so really, that feeds into kind of my answer about the question about how things have evolved and what people have to do to survive. And I think that first off, you mentioned kind of the ma and pa, and there's not a lot of resources to do that, and a lot of things have happened. Maybe someone loved it originally, and then it was inherited by the next generation. They want to get the catalog online, and they're in their Reverb stores and their whatever, and that's fine. They're selling online, but the decontextualizing of retail they suggested earlier, that's kind of gone away, was a big thing that we wanted to focus on, and where better to do that in a hotbed of music. So what does that look like? We moved really quickly beyond once we got the itch, once we saw our product, and stepping into it is a much different thing than consuming it online. Really kind of unexpected thing happened that we should have expected this, but concert venue has all different genres. It's genre agnostic. And so what does a country crowd think of our stuff? What does a rock crowd think of our stuff? What does this indie crowd think? So we got arguably like the best place you could ever put a brand to see how you resonate with all different audiences.
It's like some focus group or something. These guys coming in and tell you, that's awesome.
And it checked out. It checked out surprisingly with the only thing I'll say, but we did have a good one recently. The EDM crowd,
Thanks for listening to the Rock Guitar Confidential podcast with Brian and Scott. Please make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to this podcast. Now back to the show.
Not so much.
Well, what they wanted with the guitar, you know what I mean? There's
what is this thing?
Yeah, strange guitars. What you're talking about? Where's your RAM? I'm looking for more RAM. That's what I want. You know what I mean?
So we have a lot of. We naturally have experiential built into it because you're at a show and you're like, what's this doing here? The first thing you see when you walk through the door of the venue through securities, you see a big wall of guitars and amps and videos playing of bands that we filmed in there and all that. And we have stuff like I bought these Ampeats switchers that, can I make the whole amp wall? I bought this big old steel rack out of a steel factory. So it's all the heads and then cabs on the floor. So it's okay. I want to hear the Bogner with the basic cab. So swapping it is pretty cool.
So you have like set up to an array of cabinets and stuff, so someone can just decide what amp they want to check out. That is cool.
It's like an amp bar.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah,
exactly.
That's great. That's so cool.
I had to raid a bunch of Mark's Warehouse for tour used stuff, so that people aren't like, well, people are playing this a lot, I don't want to buy it. It's like, okay, well, it's used, it's road tour used and studio used. You could buy it as a whatever.
I think that's changing a bit. I mean, back in the day, people had like a stigma about buying used gear. I think that's kind of gone by the wayside. People are on board with that now.
Yeah, and if we're talking about tube amps, I mean, one of the great things about a tube amp is that you can repair it forever.
Yeah.
Right. It's not like a solid state amp where something breaks and then destroys everything around it on the circuit board and you're done. Right. Tube amps they're like you said, analog. Right.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, the best sounding amps, I think everyone knows that.
Yeah, you maintain it, it'll last you a lifetime.
It really feels like you found a niche that you can really fill, because the thing that a lot of retail, I think, where they fall down is they don't create the experience. It's just like, it's just you walk in, it's like people treat you like cattle. What do you want? Let's get you out of here. If you walk in, it's got to be like the old days. Like you walk in, it's a community that you feel like, hey, these are my friends. We're going to, talk music. We're going to swap stories. Maybe I'll learn a lick or something from somebody who knows something I don't know. I mean, that's a community that you can develop. That's such a smart thing to do.
Yeah, and if the staff is happy to be there, then people are going to be happy to come and visit, right, and engage in those relationships, right? So, you can't have a giant corporation or franchise, paying people minimum wage. Like they're not going to be happy to be there, right? Yeah. So,
and like they're not important.
We're more well positioned to have happy employees and colleagues.
Totally.
Yep,
totally. And from the like further dimensionalizing it, we clear all this stuff out of there and we film bands, mostly local bands, or bands coming through on tour. And we have our own sound equipment. We do pro, mixing of it. And so we basically spend a lot, just kind of trying to give back to the art community, to the artists. And, that obviously resonates a lot with our local scene here, and, it started out where, we're going to film us in a store. And I know it happens in record stores and stuff. But now we get constantly contacted by, hey, Lollapalooza's coming in. There's a bunch of bands playing. Would you want to do something? Because we do the sessions where they'll perform like 5 songs, and then we do, just gear stuff, obviously. But we also do the sound and the style, which ties kind of our clothing making a little bit to, what do you throw in the bag on tour, and then the sound and the story, like shorts, where it's pretty much like, what's your current single and teach that main lick.
There's a riff.
That's so cool, yeah. Here's a riff off the new single, yeah.
What's just because I'm curious, we're all the way out in California. Like, how would you describe the scene in Chicago as far as music goes? Is there a thriving live scene? Is there a lot of diversity in terms of the styles of music? How would you describe it?
I would describe it, there's a ton of diversity. There's obviously little hotbeds where you have, your blues and jazz stuff in certain places, but fortunately, the people we're aligned with, they own a bunch of tiers of venues. So they own this place called Space up in Evanston, and that's just really great musician, small room, 300 room, and you'll even get big musicians who want to come and play the small space, and it ranges from everything, and they'll even have, some just kind of spoken performance stuff. It's just a mix all over the place.
So not just music. That's interesting. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, Talia Hall is, so basically just in some of the venue owners, you almost have like a label model where you have an upstreaming opportunity from these little kind of clubs.
Start here, you work way to here, and that kind of thing.
Yeah, cafe tables to 1,100 seaters to 3,000 to 5,000, and then even the group we're aligned with, they even do the 30,000 outdoor festivals where they take over golf courses and things. So I'd say the kinds of music that's coming through there, it's all over the place, and especially where we are in the Salt Shed. The booker or the buyer from there, he started in that little club in Evanston. And I don't know where he finds some of these bands, but half the time I haven't even heard of some of the bands coming through the shed, and I had listened to them too late And I'm like, man, I wish I had gone to that show. So
These guys are good. Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, huge discovery, I think, scene, but also, like, I think they found the Lumineers.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
And then they even outgrew their kind of network, and then they're playing United Center. So I think that there's still, with things like the Hideout and Cobra Lounge, whatever, there's still like a great just underground, just rock and punk and all that kind of stuff. And it's just it's just a music city.
Is it covers? Is it original? What kind of stuff is thriving there?
I think that's, I don't go as much to a lot of these things, but there's a lot of great cover bands, but I think it's what everyone does. They get you in because they have to, and then they're all sneaking in their
Originals.
their bands and their music. So I think that there's definitely like theme nights, like there's places like Joe's on Weed Street and things like that that are more, I think you'll probably find more of the cover band type stuff, but you won't find that in some of these other, like the venues that I mentioned are all original music. And that's what's great in some of these systems where people can give, hey, we believe in you, we think you have great music, and play here and outgrow it and move
That's
here.
so cool.
It's like an incubator,
Yeah, Sacramento used to be that way back in the day, but it's not so much that anymore.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's great. Well, I think you kind of mentioned earlier that these venues kind of act like the record labels in a positive way, right? And some of what they used to do was, the A&R people would grow these bands, right? But now that doesn't happen anymore, in a widespread way. So it's great that it sounds like you're kind of like, stepping into that breach.
Yeah, I mean, I lived in Hollywood. I went to music school down there at the Musicians Institute back in the late 90s. And I remember watching that because I remember growing up hearing the stories about the clubs on the Sunset Strip and Whiskey and the Troubadour and stuff like that. And it just kind of was a little shocking for me to see when I got there, like how much it had changed. There was still a handful of original bands that were hanging on, but it was mostly covers that I saw. Like, I was really disappointed. I was like, man, I just heard about this great scene in Hollywood. I couldn't believe it.
Well, now you were at MI in like the mid 90s,
Late
right?
90s,
Late 90s.
That was long over by the time I got there. So it was kind of, it's good to hear that Chicago's is doing it the right way.
Chicago's got a great scene, and there's all kinds of. I don't know how we keep adding venues, but we keep adding venues, and
that's so cool.
There's plenty of music, folks. So yeah, thriving scene, and again, being in that space in there, we're literally like immersed in the experience, and so it's really, so just in finishing answering the question about the retail, I think that it's our stage. It's where we produce our content for our online stuff. We fulfill a lot of there. We do a thing that I came up with an idea years ago, like, hey, if someone's going to spend their hard-earned money buying something from you, and it's just going into the machine and onto the conveyor belt or whatever, that doesn't show much appreciation from a brand. So we're going to thank every person that buys something from us with a personal video.
Nice.
So I call it social fulfillment. So basically, someone buys something from us, and hey, Joe, thanks for picking this up. It's going in the mail. Whatever, appreciate you supporting the brand, whatever. And we're going to turn it into more entertainment. Like, hey, your t-shirt just went to its first concert.
That's so cool.
Things. So it's a stage. It's for content. We do things like we've aligned on some events with like So Far Sounds, where we'll do an underground at night, like a mystery location concert in there.
Oh, wow.
Pop-ups for artists coming through. We've basically extended an open invitation to the music business, like, hey, and to the endorsement companies, and maybe things like this help it get to them. We have like a great space. It's got a super vibe. Pretty much any of the artists that come in there from the shed are like, yeah, I get it. This is like a music vibe brand. Like, you feel it when you walk in here that this comes from the business. But we'll play host to any of those like gear endorsement things, like, if you need to pin down your guy and get that, 1 of 3 visits that they have to do for you a year, come in, do a takeover. Marshall, you want to take over the amp room? Take it over and bring the host in, because we want to just host that scene. Again, we want to be advocates for the artists and support it all. And, so we've done a lot of things where bands have done like, record releases and drops, radio stations need a place to host, all that kind of stuff. And so you get the point. We're thinking about anything we can do to keep that place active, especially in a place where if it's not as busy from a retail foot traffic standpoint, because of the shows. Let's do something else to get people in here. So I think that, it has to be your content engine. It has to be the place where really the biggest message is the stuff we've been talking about. Turn that shit back on and get people together and support. Don't be like onerous of like, or selfish about just like, I want to do what's good for my store. Do what's good for anyone in music.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah, Cream Magazine came out again. We were like, you don't have a footprint. You're from Detroit. You don't have a footprint in Chicago. Yeah, you do. You have a footprint.
Yeah, you got us, yeah.
In a music venue. So you reach out to all your loyal customers in this area, and we'll host an underground thing for them. Have them come pick up their annual subscription, whatever.
Yeah, that's so cool.
So I think being inventive is kind of what you have to do, and it's not a store. It's it's a living, breathing thing.
Well, that separates you, right? You have a music venue and a retail location in the same place. It couldn't be more synergized than that. It's right there. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool.
And I don't think that's giving away any like secret sauce because it's hard to do. You've got to be willing to do it.
Someone's got to have the heart for it too. Someone's got to it's got to get your ear. You got to do it because you want to do it. It's not obvious. If it was obvious, everyone would be doing it. You know what I mean? It's got to come from inside. One thing I wanted to ask about, I know that something that Fret 12 does is the recycling of guitar strings. Like, how'd you get involved in that?
Yeah, so that's my favorite show and tell thing. So basically, back in the day, I, like a lot of people, I probably had never really thought much about, where do the strings go? What do you do with them?
Or where they come from, either.
Right.
Probably really, yeah.
Well, you leave a couple ball ends alone together, then
The stork,
let nature take its
time
course.
on the stork drops a set. Perfect. Yeah.
So I was at a show, Guitar Boat, 8 different tunings, 15 guitars, all that
Right.
kind of stuff. Guitar techs changing the strings, like that's a lot of strings. Like how often do you change these things?
Yeah.
And he opened up, and where do they go? He opened up his drawer of his tech case, and there was like all of these neatly coiled strings with gaff tape on them, and it was like this, the city, Allstate Arena, Chicago, whatever. And I was like, does everyone do that? And he's like, no, this is kind of my thing. And
that looks really civilized. I gotta tell you, I was expecting just a big mass of strings.
More of a rat's nest.
Yeah,
It's well organized.
Yep.
Well, I was really right away like, well, that's cool that you're responsible. And he said, well, there are codes. Like, imagine what a tangled guitar string in a road case when you're trying to load out at one of them. There's just things you don't do out of respect for whatever. Or you ever sucked one of those things up in a vacuum cleaner? Or, you want to handle them, properly, but also, if in a controlled way you can recycle them or look for ways to get rid of them. This is just part of what this guy was doing, the tech. And he goes, and I mark them because I think that's pretty cool that string was played by that person. And so right away my wheels are turning like it's a throwaway to most people, but it's really the heart and soul of those 10,000 hours and those performances. Like imagine you get the strings off of a session. If I had the Master of Puppets strings out of the studio, what would you work? I'd probably be talking to you with one arm right now.
Yeah, right.
And,
or pick your favorite artist. I mean, imagine.
Yeah. So I threw the strings into my junk drawer at home, and a little while later I was looking for something, and there was some random action figure like kind of tangled up in them. And so I did what anyone do. I started wrapping it like a mummy.
Wow, nice.
First string thing, and I don't even know who's under there. Maybe it's James Bond or whatever.
Yeah, G.I. Joe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But it's it's small. It's 3 inches.
Yes. Wah, wah. Yep.
So then I started wrapping all kinds of junk, and it kind of became my part of our brand. In Fret 12,
Oh my God!
I love
cool.
that. That's sick.
Look at that.
Oh, that would look great in my studio. Okay, we need to talk.
Hey, yeah.
And I'd wrap my hand, and then basically we started making all kinds of. We went backwards. We started making all kinds of things that incorporate string art. And this is like a printed thing. We do this all the time. Like this is printed on a T-shirt.
Yeah. String band.
Printed on other fabric, so that we can make other things like these literally were just made in the other room. We do all our own cut and sew stuff here. So these are like record bags that we take all that remnant stuff and we hand sew just cool things that we make out of it.
Sick. I'm glad you included the umlauts on the Fret 12 logo.
Yeah,
so
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. The 2 dots, right? Yep, that's right.
And then, we make all kinds of merchandise.
That's rad.
String man as a roadie, I love it.
And then wrapping things, like this is how the strings end up in artwork.
Oh, man.
Yeah, cool.
I have this whole line you see in the background there, that string thing that's on that's photography.
Yeah.
So it was just a lot of stuff that has the photography, turning the strings into industrial art, and then turning them into graphic art. But so I went ass backwards in creating like merchandising, basically an idea that became our mascot. And then I'm like, how can I figure out how to make one? And it was hard trying to engineer and make a plastics good, that's durable, because you got to rake on these things when you're making
Yeah,
it.
Sure.
Had kind of a cool story, could look good with 5 strings or no strings or whatever. And so I went through the whole process of designing and patenting the string thing.
Awesome. I love it.
Yeah, so it's about 9 inches, and it's got 137 perforated holes.
He looks like Oscar's arch nemesis.
Yeah. So basically, it can obviously handle all of the 6 string, but on bass, GD maybe a. Like those basically.
E and B strings, forget about it, man.
Ask all the time. They're like, well, the bass string won't fit through it. And I'm like, but those are just anchors. Just weave the strings.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, I mean, that's such a cool idea. You're basically using the strings as an art medium. That's so cool.
Yeah.
Love that.
So it turns into this. So every single one of them is different.
I dig it.
And so basically that is the the product that comes in this cool
String thing.
That is so
string thing
cool.
box. And that's like the wrapped hand kind of version.
Nice. The string mummy. I love it.
Yeah, so it does. So it's upcycling. So basically, I'm trying to shift people's perception of strings as waste to a collectible and a testament to your hard work. That's your 10,000 hours. It's like
Smart. Love
keep
it.
them, collect them, build your little army of string things. And by the way, it keeps, some of the estimates are up to 1.5 million pounds of strings going to landfills every year. Keep it out of landfills.
Crazy.
And then we
Wow.
get, you're making another thing so that's why we're aligned with D'Addario and the playback program, because you want to get rid of your string thing, or you want to just recycle your strings and send them to us, or come down to the shop and we'll recycle them. So basically we're kind of fit in that middle gap between, trashing them in the landfill, full recycling into upcycling. And so that's really the best scenario, is that the things never end up anywhere and they stay a cool keepsake for you.
I mean, who would have thought to use that as a medium for creating art too? I mean, that was just going straight into the garbage. No one even thought about it, and now it's something you can use to make art. That's great.
Yeah, I love it, man. Way cooler than a Funko Pop.
That's totally true. You made it with your own hands, and someone played that.
That's right. It's got some history in it, I dig that.
It's got, like you were saying, like that sweat and tears are in that thing. It's not just some random piece of string. That's cool, and it's cool that D'Addario is partnered with you guys too. That's really cool.
We're doing cool stuff, just getting started with artist stuff. Like there was this band, The Maine, that just came through the Salt Shed, and their whole thing is green right now. So we we had them collect all their strings from their tour leading up to the show, and then we did a green string thing, wrapped it with their strings, and did a giveaway autographed. Alter Bridge just played the Shed, and they have a song, Shed My Skin, so we did a thing, Shed My Strings.
Perfect.
We took their strings from that night, from both guitars, bass, and the drumsticks, and we created the great thing for probably the best memento you could have from, a band at a show you went to.
Yeah, it's killer.
There's all kinds of charity stuff we're going to do. We did one, Mark's very involved with Down syndrome, so we did stuff that we're aligning with NDSS. And going to do that with his tour and studio strings. So
that's great, man.
Items go to charity. So there's an infinite amount. And by the way, artists, you don't have to do it with us. Buy a string thing, wrap the strings, give it away to charity. I mean, it's we just again want to do our part and just being part of that music ecosystem of keeping the story going.
You know, I love it.
Yeah, I
You're
love
bringing
that.
so much creativity to the table, and it's not coming from a place of we want to just maximize profits. We want to maximize how much money we can make. You're actually leading with heart. You're like, hey, I care about music. I care about upcycling strings. I care about giving artists a chance to perform.
And care about people.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
That's so cool to see someone who's bringing all those sort of business instincts and sort of those forward-thinking thoughts, but not in a way that I can maximize how much I can squeeze out of this grapefruit. You're trying to do something that's good for everybody. I think the world needs a lot more of that.
Yeah, I mean, if you're doing something you believe in, then people are attracted to it, you know?
Awesome. No, I appreciate it. And again, kind of coming out of having a unique, I think, perspective on the business. I mean, it's one thing to do that kind of stuff, but also be like relevant in the way you do it. Hopefully we're bringing like a really authentic vibe to what we're doing. And the kind of last thing that we're doing and getting into now, and it's really hard, is it's one thing to talk about analog versus digital and get off your phone, pick up a book, do whatever.
Yeah.
But also preserving craftsmanship.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
cheers to that.
There's a lot of people that aren't going to know how to do a lot of this stuff. The more mechanized it becomes and
Yeah.
whatever.
Go out 20 years. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, think about how many young guitar players don't know how to, relatively tune their guitar with the fifth fret, right? They've had digital tuners their whole lives.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
They can't just pick up a guitar and tune it to itself,
Or string it, or fix it from a low,
Right.
or anything else. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
so-
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
So analog in all ways, like knowing how to do things, but also like we're getting into all the clothing now. Really, the idea is we've done merch forever, but also whether you're hanging a lighting truss or you're hanging out on a tour bus and need to walk into press or whatever, just durable, livable, clothing that's comfortable, got kind of our vibe and whatever. We're actually like hand cutting and sewing and handmade in Chicago, like real stuff.
Sick.
Yeah.
Even to the point where now we got picked up by Huckberry, just opened their first store in Chicago, and they're starting to align with us now because they obviously have they love music and they love that model, but they're men, 25, 50-year-old men that love to get out of the office on the weekend and go exploring and camping, and I'm sure a lot of them play acoustic guitar or whatever. So they love that we're hand-making clothing, because even these small batch makers, eventually they become like manufactured things.
Yeah.
And so, we're at that kind of mode where every single thing we make, from those clothing items, it's really hard. We're cutting them, we're finding the fabric, we're sewing them, we're having the buttons pressed. And so that kind of completes our kind of cycle of expression. So still making all that content, storytelling, expression, experience, immersion at the shop, and then, buying the gear to make music. So trying to complete that full cycle.
You're becoming a mogul and you didn't even intend to. You're just like,
It's either going to kill me and whatever, but we're trying to do a lot of hard stuff.
moving into the clothing space. Man, that's so cool. I love it. And you're doing it the right way. That's the coolest thing. You know what I mean?
That's great. Yeah, as someone who's affiliated with a local independent music store here in Sacramento with Skips. I mean, what you're doing is totally inspiring.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely,
So, quick thing, Daniel. What's something? How can people get a hold of you? How can they get in touch with your website? How can they find out more about Fret 12? Where should they go?
Fret12.com. They can check it out, or our social handles Fret12, and there's a lot of great content on there to dig into, and again, discover these other bands, check out all of our products, and even the way we present all of our things. We're producing content even around a candle or whatnot, so you'll really get a sense of.
Can people get their hands on those DVDs? Those DVDs of the sound in the store? They have them up there. So people.
Yeah, we've got them. We've got them at the store. We've got them online. And then if anyone's got, I don't know if I should put this out there. Dan at fret12.com.
Okay, there it is. You heard it here first.
All these spam emails are coming your way.
Talk music,
For sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Daniel, thank you so much for being so generous with your time and for sharing your story with us today.
Yeah, man. And
talking to you.
if you end up at a NAMM show, we should link up. And I got some family in Chicago, so next time I go visit, I'm gonna come stop by.
Hell yeah, what you got going on sounds sick, man.
We would love to host you here, and yeah, we've got to get now I have something that belongs at NAMM with string thing. You know, I've gone out there times. We tried to do a puppet show. And so
Oh, wow.
We were
Nice.
at NAMM with puppets.
Wait, are you you're downstairs when you're doing this, or are you on the main floor?
No, we were on the main floor.
Man, puppet show. It's so Spinal Tap.
Yeah, we interacted with Ted Nugent, with some other people, and whatever, and it's just, you know, the puppet thing's hard.
It's the puppet industry is tough.
Truer words have never been
told.
spoken. I
Yeah,
heard the puppet thing is hard.
That's right.
That's why you need
The
masters of them.
downshift
You need Spinal Tap to open.
is in bins in the back closet right now, but they're going to come back to life.
yes.
It has to. People are going to demand it, man. Come on, of course.
Absolutely.
Of course. All right.
Awesome.
Well, wonderful. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Pleasure talking to you.
Real pleasure.
Pleasure meeting you.
All right, big thanks to Dan Tremonti for doing the interview with us and telling us all about Fret 12. And thanks to Andrew for setting it up. Hope you guys enjoyed that interview. Ryan, what do you think?
Oh, fantastic, man. Like, those guys are, they're carrying the torch, man, for guitar culture. We appreciate that. So.
Absolutely. I think that it's so cool that they're actually doing, you know, something like an old school music venue / music. I mean, it's the kind of crap that we grew up with that just doesn't exist anymore. It's really doing a solid for the world.
And hey, if you want that vibe here in Sac, come give me a visit over at Skip's Music.
Exactly. And in the meantime, guys, please go ahead and check out all the stuff that Dan's doing over at fret12.com. Please make sure to check out our website at xagesband.com. One time, Ryan, who's going to tell you?
That would be www.exagesband.com.
There you'll find links to social media for us. Please make sure to follow us on social media, and please make sure to like, rate, and subscribe to this podcast. We'll see you next week. Thanks so much.
Peace.